So here we are back again, and we're just coming off the heels of a rather involved look at the character of Predaking and some toy offerings that have come out in recent years representing him and kind of how they still stack up in the year 2018. I don't know about you, but I'm a little worn out by it, so let's do something quick and easy and fun here and take a look at a few Transformers odds and ends. And what do I mean by odds and ends? Well, pretty simply put, hot beverages, a way to make math fun, if that's even possible. And some DVDs and even, you'll notice, a Blu-ray there that we will touch on. These are things that kind of got put to the wayside until I managed to get the series done. So stick around, we're going to have a look at all of these things pretty quickly in the latest GotBot True Review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're here for the first time. It is great to have you along for the ride. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and so very important now, I'm going to ask you to subscribe, join the community, have your say. Check me out everywhere, have a look at Machinery of Man and the Everything Factor. Now, if you've been with us a while, you've probably seen me do these little odds and ends videos before. It's things that I get that are kind of quirky and different that don't really warrant their own review, but hey, I like to show it off, and sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's super quick, such as t-shirts or pins or car decals. Things like little tiny figurines with oversized heads, or even little puzzle cubes. So I have 4 things here today. And we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right over to the table and take a look at each one. By the way, I would venture to say to you that this one in particular, when we take a closer look at it, is really kind of interesting and surprising at the same time. Anyway, I have babbled on long enough yet again. Let's head over to the table and take a look at all of these items. So I meant to kind of show this stuff off some time ago, but you see, I got distracted by wave 1 of Power of the Primes, and then the whole Predaking series, kind of analyzing what fits in where. So I'm only sort of getting around to this now, and these are all things that I got during the holidays. Kind of quirky. I have to really kind of thank my family for these things. This isn't so much your typical review because none of these things kind of deserve a review on their own, but they're kind of quirky and interesting nevertheless. If you have a child, you're a parent, or if you have a little brother or sister, very little, who is just learning addition and subtraction, then one of the kind of quintessential things that are used are like cue cards, visual representations. And a lot of times people just take some sort of a card and they'll write a problem on it with the answer on the back. But why not try and make math a little bit more enjoyable with some of our favorite giant robots? These come from the Robots in Disguise line. I don't know how much life they're going to have left because that series is over, but I will show you the cards nevertheless. And if for some weird reason you don't know how these things work, we have a problem up here. 15 minus 13, of course the answer is 2. And if you turn the card around, you have the answer there. All of the cards have the same back on them where the answer is. The first card there was Sideswipe, who's also on this one. Then Optimus. Big shock there. Sideswipe. No, not Sideswipe, sorry. One of Drift's Minicons. I'm not a huge fan of Minicons. I'm not sure which one this is. Jetstorm? Maybe? I don't know. B, what a shock. In vehicle mode we have Steeljaw, Grim, Optimus's face again, Sideswipe, B, Optimus in his robot mode, which I kind of like this picture actually. Fix It, Underbite? Was that his name? Underbite? I think that was his name. B in his car mode. B in both modes. One of the minicons that was with Fracture, and I can't remember his minicon's names. Strong Arm. Steeljaw in his robot mode. Sideswipe. The other of Drift's minicons. Grim again. Steeljaw again. Sideswipe and B. Strong Arm. By herself, I think. Fracture. By the way, the figure for this guy is still fantastic. It was in my top 5 of 2015, and I got to say, to this day, I still enjoy this figure. Fix it in perhaps the most action-oriented pose that I've ever seen the guy in. I don't know if it's lifted from the program. I don't remember this, but go fix it. Grim. Optimus in his vehicle mode. Optimus's face yet again. There's a lot of Optimus's face. Optimus in his robot mode looking kind of regal. Sort of dig that. Drift, finally, I knew that he was in here somewhere. I have no idea. If somebody knows, please tell me. I don't remember this character. I'm sure that I, encountered this character in one episode probably. I don't know who it is. Let me know. I'm not sure who it is. B in his vehicle mode yet again. B. And last but not least, B. Can you guess who got the most cards in this set? That's right, it was B. And I got the Blu-ray of Transformers The Last Knight. Look, I get it, guys. I know that a lot of people don't really particularly like this film. Don't like the film franchise at all. I like them for what they are. Are there continuity errors and issues? You bet. And I understand the criticisms if you look into these too deeply. I don't. I tend to just enjoy them for what they are. Fun, fast-paced action. It's not the best storytelling, and we all know that. What I do like about this set, now I don't have any of the, you get these ones with like steel bookcases and all of this stuff. I don't need it. At the end of the day, whatever. I just want to have the complete collection because I'm a completionist. It is what it is. I didn't mind the movie as much as a lot of people did, but I understand the criticisms levied against it, and it'll be interesting to see if the upcoming kind of Bumblebee spin-off sort of turns things around. Rumors have circulated that it will kind of be not a reboot, but like a completely fresh slate for the movie franchise. We'll see. What I do like about this set, however, is the featurettes. You see, it's a 3-disc set, and disc 1 is the Blu-ray, disc 3 is the DVD. Disc 2, however, has Merging Mythologies, The Secret Transformers History. It's interesting to watch. Again, a lot of kind of holes in it, but it's interesting to watch. I like behind-the-scenes sort of stuff. Climbing the Ranks, Military Training, The Royal Treatment, Transformers in the UK, Alien Landscapes, Cybertron, and more. Look, again, if you're going to pick this up, you have probably already seen the film. You know whether you like it or whether you didn't or liked parts of it. I kind of like the exposition. I dug Cogman, but a lot of people just found him to be a bit of a nuisance and kind of annoying and sort of broke the tone sometimes. I'll admit that the scene in the sub was just awkward, and we're still not sure if that thing is or is not a Transformer, since it never seemed sentient, conscious, or, of course, transformed. I think, too, they sort of dropped the ball with Nemesis Prime. He could have been something a lot more special than what he was. But this isn't the review of this. It's just to kind of say, hey, if you collect the films, Whether you like this or not, you're probably going to add it. At least the featurettes are worth it. And then we have the entire Beast Wars series. Now, it's interesting, here in Canada it was called Beasties for whatever reason, and depending on the channel that you watch it on, sometimes you'd hear that song at the beginning and those guys, you know, yelling Beast Wars, and sometimes you'd hear it and they'd yell Beasties. It was a strange time, man. It was a strange time. My understanding is that this whole kind of Beast era and revisioning was really kind of the brainchild of Kenner, which of course ended up getting absorbed under Hasbro. And I think that that's great because they came up with a completely different take, something very unique, and there's a lot of things that were introduced here that have really endured. The idea of a spark was introduced. In terms of the toys, we had way better articulation than we had ever gotten, and that has all sort of lasted. Even the CG that was used, though certainly kind of dated now, though I still enjoy the series, it was the start of something, again, that has endured. I mean, look at Transformers Prime and the CG that was used there. Obviously much better, but I think that the kind of birth of doing that started here with this series. It is considered by many to be some of the best Transformer storytelling that there ever was. I mean, and I can't argue that at all. It was very sort of advanced. When this came on in 1996, I was old enough that I could follow it, but I've often wondered how many little kids would have been able to kind of follow what was going on, because it gets really, really, really deep. There are, of course, quintessential episodes that you should see if you don't watch the whole series. Of course, part 1 and part 2 of the series opener. The Web, I kind of dig that. Chain of Command is another great episode. Dark Designs in Seasons 1 is another great one. The Spark in Season 1, I really enjoyed. And of course, you have the finale for that season, Other Voices Part 1 and 2. In Season 2, I enjoyed Other Visits, Part 1 and 2, Bad Spark. But I think perhaps the end of that season was one of the most important storylines of the whole series. I feel like very much a defining story arc for the series, with The Agenda Parts 1, 2, and 3. By the way, also in Season 2, Code of Hero, well recognized as one of the absolute best stories that was told across any iteration of the franchise. It was very deep, it was very heartfelt. In Season 3, I enjoyed Feral Scream Part 1 and 2, Proving Ground, and of course, Nemesis Part 1 and 2. Now here's the thing, a lot of people end it there, but technically Beast Machines, the series that followed this, is kind of a continuation of it, and I have always felt like that. In order for this series to be absolutely complete, you really need, or should, watch Beast Machines. Though, admittedly, Beast Machines often goes very esoteric and out there in its storytelling. And a lot of people get confused about how the timeline works here in Beast Wars, because originally when the series started, it was not supposed to be connected to G1, but in essence, as things went on, it was connected to G1. Here's basically what we had for anybody confused about the timeline. The Maximals are the descendants of the Autobots, long after the Great War was over. The Predacons were the descendants of the Decepticons, and if you know Dawn of Futures Past, and I have mentioned this during my look at versions of Predaking recently, the leader of that group, Razorclaw, kind of didn't accept the Decepticons' defeat and started to put a band, I guess, of wayward cons together to kind of form a new group, and called the whole thing the Predacons. And as time went on, we ended up getting the Predacons that we know and love from Beast Wars. So Razor Claw was kind of the grandfather, the architect, if you will, of the antagonists for this series. I think that's so cool. There's so many other connections, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it. But, as I said, the Maximals, descendants of the Autobots. Predacons, descendants of the Decepticons. And they end up going through some sort of a time warp that causes a crash landing on this prehistoric planet. Now remember, they've been thrown back now millions of years in the past. They're from the future and have been thrown millions of years in the past. They learn over time that this planet is actually Earth. And they learn that the Autobots and Decepticons have crashed there but not yet reactivated. And then of course we have a lot of disputes over the future of humanity and the future of the Great War, and plans be hatched that could change the course of events. So we have characters from the future that have gone way back in the past and can kind of change the timeline. By the end of the series, they end up leaving the planet, going back through the time warp, and coming out in their regular time in the future. I know, it sounds complicated, but just the depth of that story arc, that storytelling was brilliant. It was a brilliant way to handle it. And if you can kind of follow the timeline and realize that, you know, these are characters from the future that have been thrown into the past and can change things, then all of a sudden everything here seems to be a little more epic. Well, when you throw in a sense of epic with excellent storytelling, you got what was a fantastic series. And I'm so glad to add this entire one to my personal collection. By the way, if you are looking for more detail, if you are looking to kind of have a episode by episode, step by step overview of this entire series, check out the guys over at Transformers and Bear. They've done a great job. They kind of cover an episode in each weekly podcast, and they even have, I believe, some anthologies kind of put up that cover about 6 episodes at a time, if I'm not mistaken. It's a nice overview, which is another reason why I don't feel the need to do it, because I know it's already been done. And then the last thing we have today is this travel mug. Yeah, okay, it's a travel mug. It's not, functionality-wise, it's probably not the best travel mug, because it's made of glass. As you can hear, the top doesn't really, the top is held in really by suction. You just, you know, put this on and that holds it in, you know, like that. You can open and close the spout that you drink from. You're not going to want to tip this over, because I really think that the top is just going to fall off. Like I said, it's just held down with suction. But if you're a Transformers fan, then this is probably right up your alley. Here's the interesting part about it, and why I really kind of dig it. This, according to the information on the cup itself, was released in 2015. The labeling is very retro. It's a very like end of G1, G2 type of way to present Transformers, and the character art on it is actually of Power Master Optimus Prime. Or if you are more of a fan of the Japanese iteration, then this is Ginrai or Jinrai. I'm still not sure how you pronounce it. It's great artwork. I love it. It's absolutely glorious and looks fantastic. But it's sort of odd that this would have ever been done, and even if it was a retro throwback, it's peculiar to me that here in North America, this is the character that would have been chosen. I'm glad it was, because I love this thing. I think it looks great. But I do think it's sort of odd, nevertheless. Yes, a bunch of peculiarities, so to speak. But if you're a collector, hey, you kind of find a place for everything that has to do with the franchise that we all know and love. Perhaps my 2 favorite things out of all of this would be the Beast Wars series, and believe it or not, my travel mug. I dig it. Some of this came from Starscream Girlfriend. Some of this actually came from my mom for the holidays. Ah, you have to love when your family supports the things that you enjoy. And here we are back here to close things out. Here's the thing. If you have, kids, or little brothers or sisters, or whatever, and I mean very young, that are just kind of learning addition, subtraction, why not try and make it interesting? Instead of just giving them a piece of paper with a bunch of problems on it to try and figure out, include some of their favorite characters. I would venture to say to you, however, that this, as a relevant thing, is soon going to run out since we are done Robots in Disguise. Then we have this. Like I said, it's not the most stellar entry in the line. I didn't have the problems with it that some people did, but I do think that having the Blu-ray or DVD or whatever version you have is still kind of necessary to a complete movie collection, and I am a completionist. And the bonus features, they're fun. It's nice to see stuff behind the scenes, or at least it is for me, and that's why I kind of like this. I wouldn't score it high, but I enjoy it for what it is. A long popcorn flick full of action and giant robots. And too many humans. These, however, are a different story. They are fantastic. The series was great. The bonus features is great. Again, if you want to kind of have a detailed coverage of sort of what happens in each one, follow the story along, see how it fits together, then really check out the guys over at Transformers and Bear. They've done a great job covering this series as they've been going through it. It has been fun to kind of relive that nostalgia with them. Or in the case of one of them, the first time he's ever seen the series, if you can believe that. And finally, this. Look, I don't understand why this came out in 2015 with this kind of Generation 2 logo, and why Power Master Optimus Prime or Jinrai, however you pronounce it, on it. I think it's so very cool that they chose to do that, but you want to talk about nostalgia and a throwback, it got to be this. Yes, it might not be the perfect travel mug in terms of functionality, but for any fan of the franchise, it would have to be the best possible one you could get. Anyway, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of these things and anything else that comes to mind. I always like to hear from you guys and talk to you. That's what part of being a community is all about. Again, I'm going to say please hit that subscribe button. Show a bit of love and support. I'm also going to thank you for giving me some of your extremely valuable time. It is appreciated more than you could know. And I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.